Hello everybody, LethalFrag here, back for another episode of Cooking with Frag, where we're cooking perogies today, which was suggested by, I believe, Wizmander. Thank you for supporting the Patreon and making that awesome suggestion. I did not know how to make perogies, so we learned how to make perogies. I'm not going to be making classically filled perogies like you'd find a lot of places. We're going to make a basic pierogi dough, and we're going to do some interesting applications of it. Pierogies are super easy to make. It's only a few ingredients. Cutting board, and we'll talk about for pierogies. So we have flour, salt, oil, sour cream, and egg. That is it. This is what our finished dough is going to look like. I'm going to whip together a batch of dough for you just so you can see how easy it is. So we have 2 1/4 cups all-purpose flour. We're going to add our 1 teaspoon salt. We want to add our salt first so we can get the salt distributed into the flour pretty evenly. If we dump the salt in after the wet stuff, it's going to clump up and you're going to get some really salty bites. Oh yes, we need 1 tablespoon melted butter too. Can never go wrong with butter. 1 cup sour cream. Now, not all pierogi recipes use sour cream. We tried both versions and decided that we like the sour cream version better. So 1 egg, and 1 tablespoon vegetable oil. So once again, that is 2 1/4 cups all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 tablespoon melted butter, 1 cup sour cream, 1 egg yolk, 1 tablespoon vegetable oil. So we're just going to kind of work this till it starts clumping up, and I make it in here with my hands here real quickly to get it work together. So we're just kind of folding it till it's starting to clump up here. Now you want your dough to rest about 15 to 20 minutes before you work on it. If it rests a little bit less, that's fine. Oh yeah. Let's say we're a little low on moisture content here. I'm going to add, I think, a smidge of water, or it's all going to come together nicely. But that's as easy as it is to make pierogi dough. Then you let it rest, let the moisture distribute through everything. I think that's actually wet enough. And now I got dirty hands. So that's simple to make the dough. It's a no-brainer. Let's wash my hands real quick, and then we'll get into the application. So pierogies will be stuffed with classically like a potato and bacon mixture, mushrooms. There's even dessert pierogies like with blueberries. We're going to be stuffing ours with mashed potatoes. I decided to go the mashed potato route because I think that's something everybody can make. Not everybody has like a meat grinder to make the, the perfect pierogi filling. If you do, good on you. I like to keep my applications here pretty simple so that everybody can do it. All right, so we have our pierogi dough here. This is not the batch I just made. This one's a little bit stickier since it's been sitting for longer. What we're going to do here is dust our cutting board with a little bit of flour, stop it from sticking. We're going to use a sifter here to evenly spread the flour on the cutting board. I'm just going to kind of flatten this out with my hand a little bit. Drop it on there, spread it out. Then we're going to take a little bit of flour and put it on top of this so the rolling pin doesn't stick. We want to get these pretty thin. I should probably move these knives before I cut myself. Let's work smart. So if you get a sticky point, you can just kind of move the flour around. There we go. Give the dough a little rotation here so we can get a little more length out of it. I would say the thinner the better on pierogi dough for the most part. Well, a little bit of thickness, but they do kind of poof up when you put them in the water. So if you have too thick, you're going to end up with a doughy mess. By lifting up the dough, you release the tension, and that gives you a little more room to re-roll. When you roll it out the first time, it kind of sticks on the edges, so it's important to release the tension there. All right, we got a nice little thin portion in the middle. Feels pretty even. So now we're going to take our cutter and cut out our little pierogies. These might even be a little bit thick, but I'm out of room on my cutting board, so we'll see how it works out. So after we're done with this, we're going to roll up the dough we did not cut into pieces and roll it out again. So I'd say this thickness is about perfect, whereas this thickness is probably a little bit too thick. However, it'll be fine. Man, this reminds me of making biscuits. I used to make biscuits for the restaurant I worked at because the baker had too much to do and he always asked me if I could make them, and I would. I also made these pretty small, so they may be a pain in the ass to stuff, but I don't want to go overboard on the stuffing right now because we're going to be adding other stuff on. What? These? My wife's telling me to flatten them down more. So we didn't get too much flour worked in. They're still a little bit tacky, which is good. These are not going to be the world's prettiest pierogies, but I can guarantee they'll be tasty. So this is my third time making pierogies. So I'm by no means a pierogi master, but I know a lot more about pierogies than I did a couple weeks ago, that's for sure. All right, I don't think we have enough room to actually roll our stuff out, so let's go ahead and stuff a couple. So what we have here is a cheesy potato mixture. And we're going to barely fill these. We're going to add a lot of flavor to the outside, so this be like a nice little creamy bit in the middle. If I had gloves, I'd show you guys the pro kitchen method of doing this. What you do if you're in a kitchen and you need to do like mass amounts of these, put a glove on, actually get a handful of mashed potatoes and just ball it up like this, and then you scoop off the spoon and drop it on, rather than having to go back to the vessel each time. That also works for making meatballs and pretty much anything that you need to use a scoop or a spoon on. If you just ball it up in your hand and then pull from there, it goes about 3 times as fast. I gotta tell you, I'm pretty hungry right now. Stomach's already grumbling. That's gonna be a funky pierogi. That's the Winston of pierogies. That cat is such a mutant. Am I getting yelled at by any Polish grandmothers in the chat yet? All right. So we're just going to roll these up. Yeah. So we didn't seal that one. We'll see what happens with that one. We're just going to put a little bit of water around the edge with our finger before we roll it up. Same premise as using like an egg wash or something. Now, something you can also do if you're pressed for time or you don't want to mash these down, you can do it like a ravioli, where you take the flat end and put it over the other flat end and make just little discs. So maybe we'll do a couple of those on the next batch, and then we'll use those as our one of our test batches. We'll do pierogies 2 ways. So we're just giving them a nice little pinch around the edge. You can also take like a fork and press them down to make them look fancy. But let's be honest, this is not a fancy food. This is definitely a home-style food that is delicious. Oh, look at the little babies. I do think these smaller ones will saute up really nice. Lots of good surface area. That is a funky pierogi. I don't even know if we can call that one a pierogi. It'll be tasty, though. One thing I wanted to definitely cover on this one is you don't have to be really good at cooking something to go for it and find out something new. I'm going to use a couple of preparations here that I've not cooked on pierogies to experiment. I think experimenting is one of the great joys of cooking, and just getting in there and testing your limits, seeing what you can come up with is really the joy of cooking, not being a master at different recipes. Now, if I make pierogies a dozen more times, I'll be a lot better at making them look nice, and I'm sure my dough would turn out a little bit better as well. But for right now, we're going to practice, and they're still going to be delicious, even though they're not perfect. You should never be afraid to try something new because you don't know how to do it. The worst that happens is you mess it up and you learn better next time. All right, so we're going to roll out one more batch after this, and we'll do discs for the next one. Then we're going to poach these off, and then we're going to add flavor to them by sautéing them. All right, that's a nice little batch. Now we have some flour working in this dough, so what I'm going to do is put about half as much flour down as I did last time. And then we'll see if it gets sticky or not. A little bit. Don't need much. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've rolled out dough like this. Feels good. I used to love baking when I worked in kitchens. I've never been much of a baker, but it's always nice when you get the odd baking task, like, hey, can you make biscuits, or bang out these cookies real quick. Okay, I need to move these pierogies or I'm going to smash them. Nobody wants a smashed pierogi. There we go. So if you're looking for really even, it's often good to go just one direction with the rolling pin. Going back and forth, if you're not really good at rolling stuff out, can lead to a inconsistent middle thickness to your dough. But going one way is a lot easier to control. All right, that's good enough. All right, so now we're going to cut out discs, and we're going to make little pierogi raviolis in a way. I think this is probably the simplest way to do it. If you're in a pinch for time, it's a lot easier than having to manually wrap all of the pierogies together. I'm sure as you gain experience rolling the pierogies and smushing them together, it goes a lot quicker. All right, so we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Perfect. One thing I miss having in kitchens that I don't have in my own kitchen is the little portioning scoops. Yeah, let's smash that one down a little bit. A little bit small there. Yeah, that could be a tight fit. We'll make it work, though. Oh, yeah, I only need it on half of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got it. All right, so now we're going to take our water. We're going to go around the edge of all these. It just helps the dough stick together so they don't explode when you drop them in the boiling water. Okay. Curious to see how these turn out in the water since they're a little bit thicker. Experimentation leads to knowledge, though. Yeah, these are going to be ugly ducklings. All right, before we get into cooking, I'm going to clean off my station here. We're going to get our station wiped up so we can cut our vegetables later. Uh-oh, don't stick on me. Cleaning as you go is one of the best skills you can learn as a cook. Just going to give this the old flip. I'm going to rinse my hands real quick and we're going to start dunking pierogies in water. Alright, so you want your water to be at a rolling boil before you start. Also important that you don't overcook the pierogies or add too many pierogies to the water at once. So a relatively small pot of water. A big pot of water is better if you're cooking a lot of pierogies, but this will be fine for this batch. So we're going to do these 5 at a time. If we dump all of them in there, they're not going to cook evenly, and they're going to get really starchy. Or the water is going to get really starchy, and it's not going to cook right. So all we're really waiting for here on the pierogies, did my flame go out? There we go. Is for them to rise to the top. Just going to put these to the side so the water doesn't pool there. There we go. They shouldn't stick to the bottom of your pan, but it is possible. Alright, so the temperature of my water, I mistuned my fire, so it was a little bit low to start, which is going to be okay. But we prefer to have a rolling boil as we're dropping them in. Yes, pierogies are cooked in water. And then we're going to fry them in butter, because we can. Alright, so we got one pierogi just about to rise here, it looks like. Arise, pierogi, arise. I'm going to toss my lid on back just for a second, get the temp back where we want it to be. Have you tried steaming pierogies? I have not tried steaming them, no. Only boil. But I bet steaming would work out wonderfully. Alright, so this one's starting to float. It's almost getting there. You pretty much want to pull them right as soon as they start floating. You can see they're still kind of sinking a little bit. We'll give them another second. Got to keep in mind we're also going to cook these again without cooling them down, so we definitely don't want to go overkill on the boil. Alright, there's 5 more, and our next batch will finish off the crescent ones. Yes, these are basically a Polish dumpling. We stuff these with mashed potatoes. There's a lot of different classic stuffings for pierogies. We're going a little bit non-traditional. We're going to make 2 different kinds of pierogies. I'm going to do pierogies with onion, garlic, curry powder, turmeric, and sambal. And then we're going to do one with cumin, chili powder, and salt, which should both go very good with the creamy mashed potato filling. So they're very easy to make, very delicious, and quite easy to make in quantity, too. You know, the words I never heard somebody come out of their mouth is, I hate pierogies. I've never heard that. Everybody loves dumplings. Well, I'm going to try one of these real quick. A little bit bland since we haven't cooked them in the seasoning yet, but texture-wise, spot on. The hardest part of cooking, the waiting. You can make in big batches and freeze them. However, by the time they heat back through in the boiling water, they can be exploding if they're frozen. So You have to have a very keen eye for when they're done if you cook them from frozen. So what you'd actually want to do is par cook them, then freeze them, and then basically reheat them in the water, rather than actually try to cook them from frozen. I think that one needs another second. All right, now we're going to do our last batch of the crescents, and then we're going to chop onions while the other ones cook. We only got 3 left here. This should go pretty quick. All right, let's hop back to the cutting board here and chop an onion real quick while we wait. Going to be using onions and garlic for both preparations, so we'll just split it directly in half. We're going to go pretty small in this onion dice. I don't want chunks of raw onion anywhere in both of these. Yeah, I used to be so much quicker at chopping onions, but now I play it safe because I don't want to cut myself. Take these little bits over here and chop them up with everything else. I always say it's better to go slow and cut it correctly when you're dealing with, especially onions. I'd say onions are the things I've cut myself most on in the kitchen. How you doing, little pierogies? All right, now we're also going to take this clove of elephant garlic, and we're going to dice that up as well. Elephant garlic's a really great product. Not only does it have a milder flavor than normal garlic, it's really big and easy to work with. So you can just cut it into strips like this, and it's much easier to dice than those tiny little cloves of garlic. Let's make a couple stacks here. Looks good. All right, I'll bet this batch is done. It is. All right, now we'll drop our first one of the perogi raviolis. Oh, we still have 1 crescent left. That's okay. We'll do 4 of these and 1 of the crescents. Yeah, elephant garlic is pretty much the only garlic I buy anymore. It does have a really great smooth flavor, so even if you don't like garlic the most, it has a much more mild flavor than normal garlic, in my opinion. That's a start. Yes, I could perfectly broom the garlic, but for home cooking, I never take the time. Maybe if I'm having somebody over for dinner, I'll do fancy cuts. All right, so we got our onion and garlic. After this batch rises, I'll drop the next batch, and then we're going to make our spice mixture for the sauté pan. So once again, these are two preparations I have not done with pierogies before. They are some of my favorite flavor combinations, though, so it should work out pretty good. All right, those just aren't quite there yet. Fair enough. All right, dump the water out of this bowl and this bowl. Whoa! We still got sound there. I just almost ripped the headset out of my ear. All right, so 2 different preparations here. We're going to be using chili powder. Not too much. And coriander. I thought I pulled out the cumin, but I guess not. There it is. So we have chili powder, cumin, coriander, a little bit of mushroom salt here too. Regular salt works just fine. Can always salt later as well. All right, then I'm going to take a little bit of vegetable broth here, and this is going to be what we add into the pan. Not too much, just a little bit. All right, for our other one, what we're going to use is sambal olek. You can buy this in the grocery store. It's a chili paste. It's one of our most used spices. It's got a really nice, mellow, spicy flavor. It does have some heat to it, but it's nice. Take turmeric and a little bit of yellow curry. Not much. All right, this batch has to be done. You can see how much puffier those are since they had the two sides on them. All right, our last batch of pierogies going in the water. All right, a little bit of vegetable stock here too. I'm going to grab a spoon and mix these up. You can also use water for this, or really whatever you want. Chicken stock works great too. All right, so it's going to give us a little mix up so all the spices are blended together. It's actually the main reason we even use a liquid is to make sure everything is going to get evenly coated on the pierogies. All right, we made a little mess. All right, let's try to tidy up our station a little bit here. All right, so we just made two spice blends for the pierogies. We're using onions and garlic for both. We made a chili powder, cumin, coriander, salt mixture. And then we also made a curry sambal turmeric mixture. A little bit of salt in that one too. All right, looking good. I'm going to try one of these as well because I want to see what the texture is like compared to the other ones. It's really good. It's a little more doughy than the other one since it's thicker on each side. But it'll definitely work. I think we're going to use the dis for the curry because that's the more aggressive flavor, and there's more dough to suck up the flavor there. But until you get the real grasp on poaching these or, you know, batching them off or blanching them off, it's definitely good to taste them to see where you're at. Sambal olek. That is S-A-M-B-A-L space O-L-E-K. It'll have a picture of a rooster on the bottle. There's also another type of sambal, but sambal olek is the one I want. O-E-L-E-K. So S-A-M-B-A-L space O-E-L-E-K. I'm sure you can buy it in a 5-gallon drum from Amazon. All right, man, here we go. All right, so we got all of our pierogies blanched off here. They're all par cooked. So we're going to move this wonderful starchy water to the side and put our pan on here. We're going to start with the, let's do the chili powder one first. So I'm going to take our lovely butterbell here. We're going to add a nice little pat of butter, about a tablespoon or so. Let that heat up nice and slow. I'm going to take about half our garlic and our onions. We're going to try just to sweat these. We just want them to turn kind of translucent. Get the raw garlic flavor out of the garlic. Yeah, we got a nice heat going on here. There we go. I'm also going to add just a smidge of salt to this to help them start sweating. Not a lot, just a tiny shake. Should probably grab a plate for presentation here. More butter! Always more butter. I honestly don't cook with very much butter, but it's a nice treat when I do. And no better time than when you're cooking home-style food. So the reason I'm stirring this so much is I don't want the garlic to stick to the bottom of the pan. We got it on a pretty aggressive high heat right now. We don't want that garlic browning up. We just want it to cook out the raw flavor. You can see our onions are starting to get a little bit shiny. That's the first step. They're sweating now, but we want them to turn slightly translucent. All the cams are the same, yes. Canon G20 camcorders. Oh, wrong tool. All right, we got a pretty good sweat on these onions now. So now we're going to add our triangle dumplings. Then we're going to add our chili powder. Whoa! Chili powder, vegetable stock, cumin, coriander mixture. I'm actually going to grab a taste of these onions real quick to make sure our flavor profile is on the right pace. Not going to lie, that's pretty amazing. So we're just trying to cook a little bit of moisture off of these. Yeah, I done goofed with the pour there. Oh, don't kill my heat. We'll clean a little as we go. We always like detail the kitchen after cooking with Frag anyways. All right, cool. So there's our first set of pierogies. I'll throw these on the cutting board when we're done. I'm going to clean off our pan and cook the other batch. Oh, we managed to get one little piece of garlic stuck there, but not bad. Not going to bother soaping the pan. We're just going right back into the heat. God bless America. Tuck that in. In fact, if you're cooking large batches of something, often better just to rinse out the pan real quick like that. You'll get some continued flavor happening. All right. A little bit of butter. Add our onions and our garlic. Give our cutting board a nice wipe, then I'll move the pierogies over. It's a good opportunity to have a few seconds to clean. You could sit there and stare at your pierogies, but this is also a good opportunity to throw some dishes in the sink, clean up your cutting board, manage your station, so on and so forth. There we go. Doesn't that feel so much better? All right. I'm going to turn this down a smidge. I'm going to work on getting my tools where they need to be. We're going to be using this to pull the pierogies out of the pan. We're done with the rolling pin. This bowl's finished. This towel's finished. Biscuit cutter's finished. Random bowls into the sink. And look at that, we're 50% cleaned up for when we're done. Oh, onion peel. Turn our heat back up now that we're sitting here watching it. So the previous batch we did chili powder, cumin, coriander, salt. A little bit of vegetable stock to bind everything together. This one we're going to be doing curry, turmeric, and sambal olek, which is a chili paste. Almost there, man. Gotta wait. Oh, we missed one of the triangles. I'm actually going to let these cook for slightly longer than the previous ones. So they got to heat back up a little bit through. So you get that really nice yellow color, not just from the curry powder, but from the turmeric, which has a really nice earthy flavor that goes very well with the spicy sambal. Yeah, cool, Antigara. Elephant garlic's a great product. Really nice for home cooking. All right, and there you have it, guys. Pierogies 2 ways. I cook these 2 ways that I never cooked them before, and I just want to tell you guys it's okay to experiment with your cooking. Have fun with it. These are certainly by no means what you consider a classic pierogi, but they're going to be delicious, and they're very easy to make. Get out there and start cooking. It's easier than you think. This would actually be a very good place to start if you're a novice cook, because making the dough's easy, cooking them off is easy. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. As a reminder, there will be a special Cooking with Frag mystery basket happening tomorrow around 10:30 Pacific. I'm really looking forward to that. Had a great time with the first mystery basket. I think you're all amazing and wonderful. We're going to go to the outro here, and I'll answer a few questions in chat as I can. Thank you guys for watching. You're awesome. So if you guys have any questions that I can answer, this is a good time to ask. It'll be PM, 10:30 p.m. Pacific, which is when the sun is going down right now, where we live. Do you get to watch me eat them? I'm afraid not. Do you ever give the pierogi a good caramelization? Yes. That was California chili powder, I believe. Do I grind my own spice and put in mason jars? No. But I do buy the spices in bulk and then put them in mason jars rather than buy the expensive little bottles. The filling was simply a mashed potato and cheese filling. Can I slice one open? Sure. Could definitely use a little more filling. You can tell this one was especially thick, but oh my god, that's good. When I absolutely need to get a recipe, I usually go to Epicurious. There's also lots of other great recipe resources on the internet. You can literally find a recipe for anything by Googling it. Graduating from technical school as a chef. I'm going to college for business. I'm wondering if you ever went to school for what? I went to college for 2 years for culinary arts, and I worked in kitchens for about 7 years after that. Gassy Mexican. Thanks for keeping it dapper, dude. Who else did I miss in here? Everybody. Nitro Stealth, Hardballer, Sergeant Chief, Recreation, and I know there was a couple before when we were starting the show. You guys are awesome. Oh, yeah, you've been here forever, Gassy. It was nice running into you at TwitchCon. Hope to see you again there this year. How much do these ingredients cost? Not much. It's egg, flour, butter, oil, onion, garlic, and some rando spices. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me today. I sincerely look forward to doing the Cooking with Frag Mystery Basket #2 tomorrow. Thank you all for coming out to watch another episode of Cooking with Frag. Thank you for supporting that Patreon and making this content possible. You're all amazing and wonderful. Until next time, keep it dapper and be good to each other. That's all I got for tonight. Frag out. You're all amazing.